The United Nations in America. Do other nations that want to come, people of those nations that want to migrate to America, do they understand the state of affairs in America, what we're allowing to happen to our own native born sons and daughters to suffer needlessly, needlessly, needlessly? Do you understand that word has a meaning? It doesn't have to be, but it is because evil men want it to be. They want you living in abject fear of homelessness. Utter, utter, profound, dramatic desperation. You see them. What do you think when you see them out there? What goes through your mind? Do you think about the $50 billion a year being spent to house poor people? They can't afford to pay their housing costs. Does that go through your mind like it does mine? I wonder about how much does it cost, all the administrative costs. If we ever ended homelessness, do you understand it's a conflict of interest to solve a problem? I mean, if that's not the sickest, most twisted, evil, diabolical scheme, sinister, nefarious, pernicious, to the nth degree, these are the Hitler-esque type people that would do this, that would allow this and tell you you should accept it. Yeah, nothing, you can't help everybody. We're going to have people dying on the street, the weak links, in humanity. You just got to let it go. By attrition, eventually we'll lose enough of them. But as long as we keep jacking up rents and housing costs, we don't care how many people die. Okay, but you got to get strong. You got to be strong like these young, strong immigrants coming in. They go out there and hold down a job, and they'll show you, what hardship is. They come from a land. When you start wanting to, you dumb Americans want to migrate to Canada, then you'll understand. Then you'll understand when you spoiled brat minimum wage workers here in America, you know, you're longing for bourgeois. No, you don't have the skill set. You don't have the educational level, even though your job is irrefutably essential to the welfare of society. I don't give a crap. That's slavery, that mentality, that thinking. That's sick, twisted, evil. So we all get your head screwed on straight and just see what a mess this world system is. This wealth imbalance that just kept growing my whole life since the assassination of JFK, who was getting rid of the Federal Reserve. We didn't need them. He already started circulating a new currency, the silver certificate dollar. Looked just about like a Federal Reserve note, but it was a new dollar. People were taken to it. We didn't need the Federal Reserve at all anymore. But look at us now. 30 trillion in debt, and nobody even talks about the national debt anymore, how we intend to pay it off, or how we're getting by. How are we paying the interest on the principal? By debasing your currency, by raising your cost of living, diluting your money. That's it. It's like, you're running in the sand. You got, oh my God, I want to get out of debt. I want to get ahead here. I want to save. I don't want to be a homeowner someday and have some financial security, some financial freedom, for God's sake, and not have to worry about, well, it's going to have to be through inheritance or some other fluke, maybe win the lottery nowadays, as it gets harder and harder and harder to achieve the middle class lifestyle, home ownership, and all that good crap that we all want. It's sick, man, and they don't want you to ever. They're running in the sand, and they just keep on dumping more sand in by raising your cost of living, by diluting your money, making damn sure you don't go anywhere. They need you stuck under their thumb. Do you think all the landlords suddenly want everybody to be able to afford to be a homeowner? Remember, they buy it all up. That's a scam. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a monopoly or not. If they're colluding together, working together and saying, hey, it's in our interest, and the bankers are working with them, that's a lot of power there. So there's all these interests that have an interest in keeping you down, keeping you poor. Do you understand? Keeping you under their thumb, because that's food on their table if you get ahead. You see, it hurts them. If you don't have to pay your landlord becomes irrelevant. They can't rent their stuff. They have to keep going cheaper and cheaper and compete and have some real semblance of capitalism, supply and demand. Let the shoe be on the other foot for a while and see what it's like. I mean, all I'm asking for is fairness. And how can we have it? You see, we got to get off the junk. We got to get off the money, each and every form of it. Eventually, that's what God's will is going to look like when it's established on earth. We got to all admit that, confess and say, yeah, that makes sense. It too easily corrupts the hearts and minds of men. We can't handle it. Obviously, if we were going to learn how to handle it, wouldn't we learn better and better and better? But no, we're de-learning, we're devolving from learning how to get along and have it more fair. It's less and less fair. Do you understand? The social economic structure is it's bent, it's distorted on purpose. They don't want people getting ahead. They don't want everyone living a middle class bourgeois lifestyle, being cocky, financially free, financially secure, out of fear, out of financial fear. No, they need you in fear. That's it. They got to keep like a whip. You better do it, or else that's you living out there in the cold, suffering needlessly. Yeah, because we're making you do it. We know there's a glut of housing in America, but we bought it, we own it. We keep it vacant if we want to make damn sure we get the price we want. Do you understand? I don't care how much you clear on your minimum wage job. This is what I want. Well, then you better, turn it into a boarding house or something. And, I got to approve you on the lease. It's all penciled in. We investors, we know the name of the game. We know what's going on. We know how much we can extract. We know the trends. The rents are going up. Yeah, hey, you got to raise your rent. Hey, peer pressure. Hey, you don't want to be a lowlife and not, and make us look bad by having too low a rent, right? So even if you're a goody two-shoes landlord, you're kind of stuck. Well, I've got to acquiesce to somebody. Somebody's got to get their way. I got to be on somebody's side here, right? Side. Division. The name of the game, friends. Now, we're in a heap of trouble, and only God can help us. Only God. That's it, friends. Pray hard that God will have mercy on us, get us out of these wars, stop it. Pray that all these stories are true, that these high-ranking military officials say, hey, I work at this nuclear missile site, and these ICBMs, and, we've had these crafts come in. It's bizarre, and they just, deactivate. They take off the nukes offline, so we couldn't even use them if we wanted to. Wow, that's kind of a big deal. But do you think the evil men running the show right now like you to know that, to be empowered with that information, that knowledge, to be comforted, and say, wow, there is some solid, tangible basis to believe that there are higher beings and that the Bible is true, and there's these holy angels and they're imperishable and all the weaponry of man combined, and they will try to fight these. They have already. Okay, they would like to stop this, but they can't. They can't. They cannot. God will not allow the conventional armaments to harm these beings, these angelic beings that are in these crafts. You should be surprised knowing that God's got greater technology. All the technology we have came from God. All our flying crafts, because God gave man a brain. Unless you made your brain, who can say they did? And your parents did no more than dogs and cats and monkeys and insects do. Worms, fascinating little critters, They're really cool. If anybody that's dug in the dirt, when you come across worms, you got to respect them. They're really cool critters. But they mate too, And it's all from God. God made us in his image and likeness, male and female. God created us. And it's awesome. We're a part of something big, something awesome, something eternal. We're eternal beings. We're like little gods, and we should be treating each other that way. And if we were doing that, living by the golden rule, all of us, rich and poor alike, if we started living like a family and pleasing God, and you're removing this curse that's on our land, because we're not pleasing him. These needless wars we're involved in. I mean, can you imagine the horrors? I mean, people being maimed and killed, innocents. And then we're going to say, oh, well, these are crimes against humanity and, the war crimes that Putin's committing. I'm thinking, God almighty, I mean, Putin remembers, us dropping a bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. What do you think? They didn't know that hundreds of thousands of civilians were going to be killed? Innocent civilians in a horrible way. We fried them with this, this radiation. That's on the conscience of America, friends. And we're going to go out there and start preaching. I mean, good God. I mean, it's just horrible. I'm on the side of humanity, man. I feel sorry for the Ukrainians. I really, really do. My God. It's horrible what innocent people have to go through. Horrible. Horrible, because violent men refuse to use any other means of solving their problems. And the same goes for the Russians. I feel terribly sorry. Just like I feel for the Civil War in America. Could you imagine the horrors we faced in this country? Hundreds of thousands of lives could have been saved if the South had said, it's overwhelming, their odds are in their favor. Duh, let's take an educated guess here and surrender and say, hey, all right, we got a better standing that way. Maybe we can make a few concessions. You know, make a little peace treaty here and get along with each other and, respect each other. And we could have saved hundreds of thousands of these young boys. No, we couldn't do that, right? So I guess we can't expect the Ukrainians and Russians to do it. But if God steps in, they're going to learn a way. If they're stuck to using conventional methods, it's going to get ugly. The appetite that public has, even the Russians, man, the people are going to say, this is horrible. No, I can't. Too many people I know now, boys I know, they're dying over there in this war. Russian boys, Ukrainian boys. No, we don't want it anymore. Just seems like that has to happen sometimes, doesn't it? Like in Vietnam or something. Jesus Christ, I mean, it's like, can't we ever learn how horrible is warfare and violence? God hates this stuff, man. The God of the Bible hates this stuff. The soul of God hates those that love violence. And oppression, I mean, allowing, Jesus said, I'm the least among men. That you want to do something for the poor, for me, you do it for the poor. And look how we're treating them and calling ourselves a Christian nation. We should be ashamed. We're the laughing stock of the planet. This country's gone nothing but down the tubes, and that's purely constructive criticism. Because I would like nothing more than to be very proud of the country I was born in. I still am very grateful I was born in America for our principles and precepts, our beliefs, our constitutional rights. Yeah. But, I can't be, and I just want to be. I don't want to be the laughing stock of the planet. I want to be the leaders of the free world. But we gotta be like the gentle giant, man. That's the kind of guy I admire. I joke. I see some of these big guys the other day. I walked out of a store and there was a big guy standing there at the exit. A guy working for the store, and he had probably 6'5" at least. Big, heavy set guy. And I just looked at him. I said, "Hey, I bet all the guys want to be your friend." Joking with him, but. Yeah, I mean, of course, who doesn't like having big guys be your friends? It's a good feeling, But it's kind of a joke, But anyhow, friends, I want the best for everybody. I really do. Because I learned this from Christ, He was nobody's enemy. Even though people thought they treated him that way because he was a threat to the status quo. He was rocking the boat. And they don't want the boat rocked, just like so many people today that are comfortable in the status quo, the way things are, the state of affairs in the social economic structure. They like the trend, the direction, the trajectory we're on. The wealth imbalance keeps growing as long as it's working in their favor. They're not thinking about you. They've divorced themselves from you. They become evil in their heart, impure in their heart because of that. You see, and this is about salvation at the end of the day. It's not about condemning these people. It's like letting your heart break for them and say, God, they don't see what they're going to miss out on. You cannot love money more than you love God. You cannot love money more than you love human beings. But yet that spirit is permissive. Our society is permeated with that spirit. And we all understand, we all love money. So we're all evil and culpable to some degree. And we need to repent of it, be really, really sorry for it, and show God we are sorry and convince others we need to be sorry collectively. We're stuck here together on this ship of fools, and we're in for trouble if we haven't learned from the sledgehammers God's brought down on it or allowed to happen to humanity through the ages. You know, things like 9/11, things like the Second World War and the dropping of the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Can't we learn from these horrific experiences and say, no more, no more? Can't we learn from desperate poverty and say, no, no more? These are my brothers and sisters. I don't care where in the world they are. I care about them like I care about my own kids, like I care about myself. I'm trying to live by the golden rule, and that's what I need to do. That's